All right, Shalom. First off, I'm going to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father's true name, Yahweh Shai being the name of His only begotten Son. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you walking throughout the four corners of the earth, continuing to push and do the works in truth and in sincerity. This is the brother Mashai Mayim, one of the men here with the GMS branch out here in the morning camp. Here with another quick lesson through the Spirit and pretty much going into not letting anything, okay, or whatever it is that's going on around us choke the word, okay, to where we are unfruitful. All right. That's going to be the title of the lesson, is we can't let nothing choke the word. Okay. So, because there's a lot of things that go on around us and different things you might have to handle. But at the end of the day, we want to continue to be fruitful no matter what. Right. Continuing to grow in the word, being this truth. Right. So let's start off with 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 7, and it reads, "But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us." All right. And real quick, okay, this treasure is what? It's this word, okay, and this truth. All right. And the faith to believe in it through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Shai. All right. And this wisdom that we have, okay, that's this treasure that we have. All right. Because like it says, let's get Proverbs, the 2nd chapter. And starting at verse, we'll just start at the top. And it reads, "My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee," right? And once again, we have awoken, once again, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai back into this truth, okay? We're reading of the commandments. We're keeping the commandments, right? We read the Lord's words, okay, in these scriptures, right? Verse 2, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding, right? And we get all that through the scriptures, okay? The wisdom, these scriptures is our wisdom, okay? And we get the understanding on how to apply them all through the scriptures, all right? Scriptures say in Psalms, I think it's 104, or I believe 119, but it says, "Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way." All right? So, these precepts, okay, when we read them, okay, and the wisdom that we're told, the different precepts, okay, being put together is how we have the understanding on what's what and what it's saying, right? Verse 3, "Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as for hid treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of the Most High." All right. But what is these scriptures and this truth that we've awoken back onto? This is the treasure that we have. All right. And once again, you can't leave out along with the faith, okay, that we have to believe in it. All right. Because once again, the elect are going to have faith onto the end. Okay. Because faith is a big part of this truth as well. But going back to 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 7, verse 8, the latter part of verse 7, it says that the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us, right? Because this truth, we have this truth, okay, being in these fleshly bodies, okay, that fall short at times, right? But it says that the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us, okay? Because it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shai, okay, that we're still here, all right, and that we're still able to push no matter what goes on around us, right? As these other next couple precepts will explain, it reads, "We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair." Okay. And the scriptures tell us in Acts that through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of the Most High. All right. But it says we are troubled on every side. So sometimes, you might be dealing with different things, okay, that you got to handle. Okay. Different problems pop up. All right. You're being afflicted here. Okay. Troubled here. Right. But those are the different troubles that we got to deal with. Okay. That can sometimes what? It says, you're not distressed, but we are perplexed, but not in despair. Okay. So sometimes it can have your mind perplexed. Okay. Let's go into that word real quick. apareo, and it means the definition, it says to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt. It says not to know which way to turn. The last part, it says not to know how to decide or what to do. Okay, and sometimes you gotta sit down and slow down to make decisions on what to do in different situations, right? But once again, it's all through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yashad that uh, uh, the men of the Lord are still here. All right. Verse 9, it says, persecuted but not forsaken, cast down but not destroyed. Right. You know, you get persecuted in different ways at times, right? You know, might just be driving a little over the speed limit and a cop pulls up behind you, throws you a ticket, right? Overall, hey, the Lord is still with you, right? The Lord delivers you out of that situation, you know. Brothers might get locked up at times, but hey, they're not, they're not cast down. The Lord is still with them, and the Lord delivers them out, right? You know. But it's all through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yashad that nothing sways us away completely from this word, you know. From here, let's go to, because the main point I'm getting to is the different things that go on around us. All right, we can't let none of them we can't let none of those things choke out the word. Like it says in Matthew 13 and verse 22. Let's get this parable that the Lord spoke on, and it reads, verse 18, and it reads, hear ye the parable of the sower. We're just going to jump to the point. Verse 22, he also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Okay, so the different things that go on, okay, the cares of this world, okay, the deceitfulness of riches, different things you got to handle, okay, that might get in the way of your time. All right, those things can sometimes slow you down, okay, and hinder you from getting to the word, okay, and reading, studying, getting the lessons up, right? But at the end of the day, we don't want to be this seed, okay, that was choked out by the thorns. All right, we don't want the word to be choked out by the different things that goes on, and we can't let that happen. We want to actually be what? We want to be verse 23. It says, but he that receives seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth some an hundredfold, some 60, some 30. All right. And once again, all through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Rashad, allowing us to continue to push no matter what goes on around us. All right. From here, let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, because that's why the Lord told his disciples this, right? This is Luke chapter 21 and verse 34. This is Luke chapter 21 and verse 34, and it reads, and take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that day come upon you unawares. All right. But it said what? And take heed lest yourselves, take heed to yourself. All right. So we want to continue to, be mindful of different things that we indulge in. Okay. Not being too carried away with different vices. Okay. Different things that you might like to do. Whether it could be different things that brothers like to do, but not letting that, desensitize you from continuing to prosper and do more for the word, right? And it said the cares of this life, which is what? The same thing is said in that Matthew 6 and Matthew 13 and 22. All right. it was the cares of this life that caused the seed to be choked out. You know, and ultimately we can't allow nothing once again to choke the word out. That's why we gotta continue to pray, fast once again if you need to. You know, even fasting from different activities at times, different things. You know, to use more time in the spirit, right? You know, but these are different things we can do to continue to prosper and grow in the word. You know, from here, let's get the book of Luke chapter 14 and verse 16, and it reads, this is Luke chapter 14 and verse 16. Now I'm grabbing this because, as we'll just read, this is Luke chapter 14 and verse 16, and it reads, Then said he unto him, a certain man made a great supper and bade many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, Come, for all things are now ready. Right? And the Lord said, what? Go you out into the highways and byways and bid, and many as you can, bid them to the marriage. Right? So likening this onto what? The men of the Lord, the servants, okay? You that have awoken, right? Yourself being awoken to this truth, right? For however long you've awoken, right? Because it said that we're bidden, right? Verse 18, and they all with one consent began to make excuse. The first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee, have me excused. All right, so he said he bought a piece of ground, so it could be different, likening that onto different things that, even being in this truth, you might have going on, right? You don't want to use that to what? Make excuses for not putting in the time for the word, okay? Verse 19, and another said, I have brought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee, have me excused, right? So you can liken this onto what? Somebody that's well, oxen was a way of plowing, right? You know, it could be a job, okay, that you got, you know. Verse 20, and another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. So that servant came and showed his lord these things. Then the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor, and the maimed, and the halt, and the blind. All right. But the point is what? These individuals, they made excuse. All right. You know, and that's not what we want to do when it comes to the word, okay? The different things that you might have going on the side, all right? Once again, because ultimately the main focus is this word, this truth, okay? Because like it says in let's get the book of Matthew chapter 6 and verse 22. And it reads, not 22, verse 19, and it reads, Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Okay? You know, so it says where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. All right? And our treasure is what? This word, this truth. All right? This is where our mind should be occupied and focused on. All right? But if it's mainly focused on other things more than this word, then hey, that's a sign, you know, that's you giving more attention on to something else, okay, which can eventually choke out the word, this truth, you know. So, but I think that was it. You know, that's just a quick, you know, lesson dealing with that. We can't let none choke out the word, okay, and just continue to pray, fast, and you know, do more, you know. But that's the point. Want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, for putting the spirit upon me to do this lesson. Double honor unto the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you walking throughout the four corners of the earth, continuing to push and do the worst in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.